he has fired a number of erring government officials. The president stated that there will be more dismissals to come.
Alam ninyo na until now, ginagawa ko. I have fired so many undersecretaries and secretaries, and most of them, yung mga minor, were then my companions in the city mayor's office in 1988. It pains me deeply to do it, pero sinabi ko sa inyo, wag. Wag na wag. And that promise I'm doing until today. There will be more dismissals to come. And I don't care if my whole term would be characterized by the firing and dismissal of people from government. Ayaw ko talaga yan. And give the Filipino a respite of courage. Alam ninyo na.
Meanwhile, there are more refugees in the world more than ever before. A new report by the UN Refugee Agency says that every 2 seconds, someone in the world was forcibly displaced in 2017. Due to wars, violence, and persecution, 68.5 million people were forced to flee their homes by the end of 2017. According to a report by the UN Refugee Agency, the number was nearly 3 million higher than the previous year. Syria's 7-year conflict alone had, by the end of last year, pushed more than 6.3 million people out of the country, accounting for nearly 1/3 of the global refugee population. Even as 5 million people returned to their country of origin, 16.2 million people were newly displaced around the world last year. The vast majority of the displacements affected developing nations and overwhelmingly consisted of people who fled their homes but remained inside their own country. The crisis in Democratic Republic of the Congo, war in South Sudan, and the plight of 700,000 Rohingya refugees who fled from Myanmar into Bangladesh were big contributors. Now in Myanmar, flooding triggered by heavy rainfall has caused widespread damage in Chinmakwai, Rakhine, and in particular Mon State, where hundreds of local people were displaced by rising water. Incessant downpours have been recorded in different parts of Myanmar for a week. Some fishermen were reported to have disappeared in Rakhine, while landslides occurred in Chin State, where several bridges were also damaged. Over 800 people in Puent Phu town in Magwai division were forced to flee their homes because of the flooding. Most of the people affected by the flooding lived near rivers or in coastal regions. In one state, a bridge collapsed, trees were blown over, and landslides hit some areas. Local public transportation was halted yesterday, including travel by car and train, although cars were able to travel again today after the rain stopped and the water subsided. 2 local women were reportedly killed in related events, according to a local source. A snake bit one woman in Molmen during the flood, while another fell into a strong river current and drowned as she tried to cross the waterway. The train stopped today, and people may be able to go back home soon, depending on the weather, according to relief team members. The relief workers appealed for donations and cooked food for the flood victims. Meanwhile, rising trade war fears after U.S. President Donald Trump threatened fresh tariffs on Chinese imports and Beijing warned of countermeasures. The news hit stock markets in Asia and Europe. Hong Kong and Shanghai stocks led a sell-off across Asian and European markets on Tuesday. Tokyo was 1.8% lower, while Seoul ranked 1.5%. Singapore slipped 0.1% and Taipei fell 1.7%. While Manila lost 1.7%. Bangkok was also sharply lower. In early European trade, London fell 0.8%, Paris shed 1.3%, and Frankfurt was 1.5% off. Masakazu Sato, senior analyst at Gayame Online, said the market is expected to remain nervous for a while as we can't see an end to the dispute. We'll be back after this break. Stay tuned.
Hello, my name is Samantha Suarez and I'm reporting here from Gainesville, Florida. Behind me is the Florida Museum of Natural History, home to a butterfly rainforest featuring hundreds of butterflies from across the world. Do you know another place that has sites from across the world? Well, check out Digital Nest on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. And I am one with 25.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave some love by giving it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe here at ABC Digital Nest so you don't miss any of our upcoming features.
Ito po si Secretary Francis Tolentino. Binabati ko po ang Eagle Broadcasting Corporation sa pagdiriwang nyo ng ika-50 taong anibersaryo. Maraming salamat po sa 50 taong paglilingkod nyo sa sambayanang Pilipino. Daghang salamat.
Welcome back. The world's oldest Sumatran orangutan, which had 11 children and 54 descendants spread across the globe, has died aged 62. Australian zoo officials said Puan, Indonesian for lady, died on Monday at Perth Zoo, where she had lived since being gifted by Malaysia in 1968. Puan had 11 children and a total of 54 descendants in the United States, Europe, Australia, and the jungles of Sumatra. Her great-grandson, Nyaru, was the latest individual to be released into the wild. Born in 1956, she was noted by the Guinness Book of Records as being the oldest verified Sumatran orangutan in the world. Female orangutans rarely live beyond 50 in the wild. Meanwhile, ASEAN is focused on regulatory excellence to enhance coordination, to accelerate harmonization of standards and regulations, as well as to increase transparency and strengthen the evaluation of non-tariff measures. Watch this.
The Master Plan on ASEAN Connectivity 2025 aims to secure a brighter future for the people of ASEAN. In the area of regulatory excellence and harmonizing regional standards, we will create an environment that better enables ASEAN to achieve sustained economic growth.
For integration to take place, you need people movement, you need services to flow across the region. Strengthen regulatory excellence is for the countries to agree on adopting a common framework. Having a harmonized and uniform set of regulatory standards will be good for the ASEAN businesses, and the other objective, of course, related to it is to reduce what is known as non-tariff measures or barriers.
Despite considerable progress, there remains significant non-tariff trade barriers within ASEAN. The Master Plan lays out a strategy to address this challenge. It will increase transparency on such barriers and strengthen the evaluation of non-tariff measures by building on the ASEAN Trade Repository. The development of a trade regulation database will allow us to see how trade is regulated throughout ASEAN, help us access non-tariff trade barriers in greater detail, and work towards removing these constraints on ASEAN trade. By bringing down barriers, we open up ASEAN to higher quality growth.
In our SEZ, we have got a lot of non-tariff barriers that have been tremendously reduced in many ways. One example is the licensing systems. These licensing systems were never practiced in our SEZ. There is no price controls in our SEZ, and there is a level playing field that is fully assured by the law, and there's no discrimination between foreign investors and domestic investors. Another example is we have established one-stop service centers at the SEZ and developed standard operating procedures to have the predictable environment for investors.
The Master Plan will accelerate harmonization of standards and regulations within ASEAN by enhancing coordination between public and private stakeholders and promoting good regulatory practices. That means that products which comply with regulations in one ASEAN country will also comply with regulations in all other ASEAN countries. This will greatly improve the ease of doing business. And the easier it is to do business, the easier it is to invest in ASEAN.
Đặc biệt để thúc đẩy cái công tác xuất nhập khẩu giữa các Việt Nam và các nước ASEAN trong thời gian qua và thời gian tới đấy, thì chúng tôi cũng đã chủ động có cái sự kết nối một cửa ASEAN. Mục đích là những cái thông tin của các doanh nghiệp có thể là thay vì phải tìm hiểu qua cái thủ tục thủ công thì chúng ta có thể trực tiếp tìm hiểu đến cổng thông tin một cửa ASEAN này. Đó là vấn đề là thuế quan mà các nước đã ký kết thì sẽ được giảm. Làm như vậy thì cái lượng hàng hóa của các nước ASEAN nó sẽ thúc đẩy và tạo thuận lợi hơn nữa trong cái thời gian tương lai.
Harmonized regulation will have significant positive impacts on the micro, small and medium-sized enterprises at the heart of ASEAN's economy. It will improve transparency across borders, allowing even the smallest enterprise to trade efficiently over multiple territories, providing an environment that businesses in the region can thrive. Through all this, the Master Plan on ASEAN Connectivity 2025 will increase transparency, harmonize regulations, and provide a stronger framework for economic collaboration in ASEAN. Working together towards a better connected ASEAN.
About the ASEAN region, I'm Nea Mangawang, always one with 25.
Ano ang tunay na kahulugan ng tagumpay kay Miss D?
It's not about how much money you have in the bank, but how you are as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter, as a sister. Paano mo ginamit yung talentong binigay sa'yo? Paano mo ginamit yung perang binigay sa'yo? That's the true measure of success.
Wonderful.
Hi! Ito po si Dina Bonnevie at sana abangan niyo po ako this coming Saturday sa RYTS, Rule Yourself to Success. Dito lang po sa Net 25.